I recently installed a router table lift into this end of my table saw, and now I want to maximize dust collection here for when I'm running the router. And I've got a decent fence here that's got dust collection in it, but what I need is a box that mounts under the table that will also connect to my dust collection, that will put a vacuum under the table too. So any chips that end up going down towards the machine, they have a way of getting evacuated out of there. So that's what's next. I'm going to come up with some kind of a box. Haven't designed it yet. We'll see how it goes. Title intro. You're watching On the Mark with Mark. You are looking up from the floor, and I'm going to be looking at the router from under the table here. I've got my pad of paper and a ruler. I need to take some measurements to be sure that what I build has enough clearance for the router to still be able to move as much as it does. So I'm going to stay outside of these nuts here. I've got enough room here and over here. So let's see what that is. If I go out, these will be my inside dimensions. So 11.5 by 9. I got to run the router down as low as it will go so that I'm sure the bottom of my box can accommodate for that. Okay, that's down all the way. So now I just get the measurement from the underside of the table down to, it looks like 12 inches. Gives it a little bit of clearance. I don't know that I really want to cut it that close, although mostly it'll never be lowered this far. Anyway, I'm going to design for this because just in case it goes that low, so we'll go 12 inches deep. The other thing I need to be concerned with is my router is lined up pretty much centered on this leg over here. So if I want dust collection to come out over here, I really won't be able to get it because here's my port back here. Now I can tip that port out in that direction, and then I could come around and hit the box from this side. So maybe I put the actual dust collection port off of the back here. Or I could come off of the bottom. Maybe the bottom is a better idea. I'm still designing this, so we'll see what I come up with. But either way, I know I can't just come off of this side because that'll be just running right straight into that leg. So that's not good. I have these buckles here that I took off as something else. And what I think I want to do is I want to permanently mount part of the box, maybe an inch or two of it, under the table, and then it'll have this part of the bracket on it, and then these buckles will snap the whole rest of the box on. So if I really need to get under there to do something with the router, I can pull the whole box off easily just by unhooking these buckles. Also, the box is going to have a door on it so that I can easily open up a door and change the speed on the router. That's a 5-speed router underneath of there. So that's more of my design criteria. I have kept quite a sizable bit of inventory of dust collector parts in this box over the years. So I should be able to come up with some bits and pieces here of a way to get dust collection out of here. In fact, this might help me get around the corner here. So I'll take a quick look here and see what we have for inventory. You know, I got a lot of different parts. We'll see. what I can come up with here. I ought to be able to come up with something. Oh, these are always handy. What was I looking for specifically? Oh, here we go. There we go. That could really be handy. This could go on the box, and then I could hook onto that. So this might be part of the ticket. We'll set that aside. What else do I maybe need? It's interesting. I don't think I want to go down to something that small. Got plenty of these, that's for sure. Sure. This could maybe be cut up and used. Maybe not. What else do I have? Oh, I have this one. Here we go. So I could go this way or I could go this way. Kind of liking that. That could go all the way across the back. Think about that. Okay, so it's going to be one of these two. Was thinking I wanted to have the bottom taper from front to back or side to side. Haven't decided yet. It looks like this has kind of got a sort of a taper in it there, and so does this. That's not much of a slope though, but maybe I do use that. I think this is turning into the ticket right here. Okay, so if this goes on the back, then what do? We come off with that. That could be okay, like that. Then we still have more of a turn to make. We turn like that. Yikes. Does that fit under there? I don't know. Let's see. Well, I'll do some fitting off camera and we'll see what I come up with. Okay, I have a plan and I've got my cut sheet up here. There's 6 pieces that I need for this. Just kind of funny. It's four sides and then 2 pieces for the bottom. So I'm going to start cutting these up. Now that I've got all my parts cut, I have used a sample piece of plywood and I have adjusted my router so that I can make a nice rabbet joint on the corners of this box so that I can get a little more glue surface and a little stronger joints in the corners. So I've got all of the sides that need to be rabbeted, marked, and we're going to run them through here. I've just got kind of a makeshift dust collection set up here. This is the most dust collection I've actually ever had with a router in this shop. So it's working out okay. So here we go. I've I've just set it together right now. The front, well, this is the front. The front and the back are the ones that go all the way across. And then the sides are laid in. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily screw this together, and then I'm going to cut the angles that I want on the sides of this, and then I'll take it apart and I'll match up the angle on this part right here and here. And then that will accept these pieces, which I just have cut to rough length right now. And they'll fit on here, and then the other one goes up here. Then there'll be a 90-degree angle where the two meet. So I'm going to screw these together. Now I just need to be careful to keep my screws away from this area where I'm going to be cutting my angles. Okay, there it is. Fairly solid little box. Now we'll go to the table saw and get the angles cut. So it's 30 degrees off of one side, and then it's 60 degrees off this side, but I'll probably use the 90 on my sled here to get that second cut. That was supposed to come to a point, but let's take a look at this and see what's going on here. I probably just need to take another cut. The reason I missed my point right here is because this is still as a rough dimension. And what I need to do is I got to cut the top of this off. I'm going to cut it off somewhere, I don't know, 1.5 inches wide. And then I'm going to do a rabbet joint on that. So this band that I cut off is going to get screwed to the underside of the router table. And then this part will fit into that rabbet. So I'm going to do that next. I'm going to cut that section off, and then I've got to put a rabbet on both sides so that it'll fit together like that. I have it screwed back together and it looks nice except for that one spot there where the router grabbed it. I'm not sure if I'm going to bother doing anything with that since this is going to be mounted on the underside of the table. Anyway, so I've got part of the rabbet here and I've got part of it here. So now when this goes underneath of there, it's going to fit on like that. So that will align the thing so that it always ends up in exactly the same place. So that fit pretty good. Lost a little bit of that hole. That's good. All right, now I'm going to take a second look at this angle here and see if I can cut a little bit more off and still have room for the router in there. Now that, see, we lost a good 3/4 of an inch in height by cutting these two rabbets here. Here's how it's looking. Kind of looks like I built a birdhouse here. Just kind of funny. Got my rabbets on the back side here. Let's see, this is this one here. And this one goes here. Okay, this is the back. So this is going to get this piece here put onto it. So that hole isn't going to matter at all. And I'll trim off the plastic a little bit down here. So that's where my dust extraction is going to happen from. Now, the other thing that needs to happen is I need to get a door in here. What's going on here? Is that it? What's going on here? Is this right? Like that? That doesn't look right. What happened here? Are these about the same size? What the heck? Oh, I know what I did. Goes this way. There we go. I don't know how my own thing goes together here. All right, it's like that. There's my birdhouse. Okay, so that fits together a little bit better like that. All right, and like I was saying, this is going to go on here, and this whole thing right now, the way we're looking at it, is upside down. I need to cut a hole in here to put a door in here so that I can reach in and change the speed of the router. The router's got 5 different speeds, and I don't want to have to take this thing completely down every time. I just want to open it up. And maybe I'll shoot the compressed air in there too from time to time and help clean this thing out too. So that's, let's see, that's the 2 things I need to do. I think I'm going to do this first. I think I'll figure out how to get that hole in there. Man, that's a big hole. That's not going to leave much of this panel left. All right. All right, I've put my intake duct on here, and then I've marked it out where I want to make the hole, and now I'm just going to cut that out with, I call this a saber saw. I don't know what you call it. So that will be on there like that. And from the inside, it'll look like that. While I've been working on this, I was wondering if I really need dust collection below the table. And I think the evidence is in, and the answer is absolutely. Look at this. I've got my heat gun warming up here, and I'm going to be melting, well, not melting, but it'll be softening up this plastic right here to get it to bend around the corner here, so just get a nice fit on it here. Oh yeah, we got plenty of heat now. I'm going to get a board and we'll squish a piece of wood across there. Boy, that was a lot of fumbling around. Nice and cool now. There we go. Turn the corner. Well, bulging out a little bit there. Let's put a couple screws in it. See if that'll pull it down. That drew it down pretty nice. I think that is gonna work. Let's see. I look down the edge there, a little bit wavy. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, that's done. Now what we need a door on that side. Now, what I need is a door that's big enough for me to be able to get my hand in here and change the speeds on the router. And the control for the router is, as it's placed in the router lift, is at the bottom. So this is the bottom side. So we need to keep the door relatively close to this side here, and then just big enough for my hand to fit in here. I think I'll just make it a square shape. And I have this nice cherry veneer plywood that I think I'll make the door out of, but I got to cut the hole first. So I need to be 2 inches below the mounting surface. What did I do with the top? Oh, it's right here. I need to be 2 inches below here, so there's no problem that way, but I don't really need to be up in this area anyway, so I'm going to stay far away from there, so there'll still be plenty of room for the door to open and clear the fence that's already there. So I'm going to lay this out now. Got my centering ruler. Five and a half. That should be relatively square. I think I'll start with a drill bit in all 4 corners, and then that'll just be my corners on here. They won't be a sharp corner. That's a pretty square hole. So my door is 6.5 on a side, so I'm going to have a 1/2 inch of overlap on all 4 sides. Here is my simple overlapping plywood door. I rounded the front edges over a little bit, and then of course it's got a big dado on the back, and okay, it fits like that, which is just fine. That'll leave plenty of room for it to open and close, and boom. Isn't that nice? Is that the last thing? It's like just about. All right. Well, I'm going to ease the corners on this thing, and then I think I've got some sanding sealer. I'm going to coat the whole thing with sanding sealer and then sand it and get it nice and smooth so that hopefully the dust doesn't hang up too much on the inside. Also, I'm going to add some holes, some intake holes on this so that, there's the 4-inch dust collector is going to be hooked up to the back side there, but that's just one side. There has to be a way for air to get in more than just through that little hole that the router sticks in. So I'm going to put some holes back here down in the bottom corners there, which will keep the dust out of those corners. And then I had this idea where what if I put a hole here? Let's see, so it goes this way, and a hole here, so it goes this way. And if I put 4 holes in, maybe the air will like start a tornado in there, and that could possibly help keep dust moving and get evacuated, because I don't want this thing to fill full of dust. That's not the idea. It's supposed to remove the dust and make it so that the floor doesn't look like it does right now. So let's get some holes drilled in this and get to putting some sanding sealer on it. Well, the painting went well. I have the inside sanding sealed, so it's nice and smooth. And then I painted the outside with this gray that kind of matches my table saw, sort of like the look of that. And I have finished assembling it. So now it's got the dust port. Let's look at it right side up for once. It goes like this. So that's the back, that's the dust port. Then it's got my nifty door right here, and just happen to have some foam adhesive type stuff on there, which I put on there, give a little bit of a seal there, why not? And then I did some math on how much area there is on that 4-inch opening, and then I determined that with these two holes down here that I could have, what do I have, 16 holes around the outside. I might have made those bigger had I known I was going to need so many, but this might actually work better. Anyway, the idea here is that the air coming in is going to swirl this way and then this way and this way, and maybe I get a little bit of a tornado going in there. We'll look when I get done, and we'll try to sprinkle some dust down in there and see if we can see if that happens or not. Anyway, the other thing is I've got the buckles that hold the two pieces together. This rim around here, this is going to get mounted to the underside of the table. So let's get after that. That's the next thing that needs to be done. I drilled a counter bore for these screws before I cut my rabbet in there. So these screws are going to sink down in there. The reason I did it before I did the rabbet is because it's like right on the edge of the rabbet. That would have been a hard hole to drill. Anyway, so it's just about coming through here. So it looks like I'm going to get about a 1/2 inch of penetration into my, this is the piece I cut out. So it's going to come in, and be, I should have a decent grip. I just need to pay attention to get this side facing towards the outlets so that that's where the cord for the router is going to come through. Something goofy. I just need to be careful of the cord. And then these buckles should go right on. Let's see if we have the clearance we need here. Ah! Come on now, you rascal. In the groove, yep. Okay. And up there, good. Let's do this side. Got it. All right, and this side. Yeah, okay. Well, a bit of a fight there. Let me give you a close look at it. Around the back side. What happened is that strap hit the leg before it could go over. So by putting this side in first, I was able to get that to work. Well, here it is. It's kind of cute. Got my little door here. And there's the machine. Here's my router speed adjustment, so I can get to that easily. That'll go shut. Looks like it belongs under there. Now I just need to route the ductwork to it. So here's where we're coming out, and I want to be able to turn this corner, and we're shooting for this blast gate back here. Now that can rotate more and be pointing more this way. We may end up coming around this side of this leg. I would really prefer it if we could stay inside. Let's see what happens here. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Yes. Wow. Okay, it's not exactly a square fit there. Maybe if I heated that up. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Must be living, right? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's nice. We can stay inside the leg. I just need to put an adapter on here, sort of like down here. Well, so that I can hook a flexible tube from here over to there. So this is looking good. You might wonder why I'm using two 45s instead of a short 90. And with the vacuum side of things, it's important to keep a long 90 when you're doing these bends. With a tight bend, the kind that they sell for dust collection systems, there's actually a vortex that can occur on the inside curve of those 90s. They're too short. You want to use as long a 90 as possible. And you see over here where I'm splitting off my main trunk, I'm coming off with a 45, so I get a nice smooth transition there too. So let's, I guess we just need to get this screwed together. This kind of supports itself right here in the corner. I was thinking I might attach it to the leg, but I don't think I'm going to need to. Pretty neat. I'm also working on the dust collection for above the table, and this fence came with this nifty little attachment here, but thanks to my angle iron adapter here, I can't plug a tube into there. It gets in the way, but I have fix. I have this piece here, and this will give me the angle to get me more straight up out of here. But I just need to cut these two sides down so that they match what this one is. So that shouldn't be too tough to do. And then I'm going to add some triangular pieces onto it. That was easy. Now I just need some triangles to fill in. A small triangle like this. I'll glue that right on the edge here. Even with this angled port here, I had to get my heat gun back out and heat this up a little bit so that it could be dented by my aluminum angle there. And if you look down here, you can see where a little bit of a dent in it. But otherwise, my adapter here is working out just fine. I have the 4-inch duct connected now, and it's on with this blast gate right here, which is working out pretty nice. And I have also tested my router lift to see that my box is large enough for it to be able to go all the way down without hitting anything. And it's true, it can go clear to the bottom. So I made it large enough that way, so that's lucky. Let's go around to the other side and we'll look at how the dust gets extracted out of the backside. Before we do, I raised the router all the way to the top so you can see what the dust collection looks like from the inside. And that 4-inch tube right there just looks massive. Also, let's see, I don't know, can you see any of the other holes? Not really. But anyway, that's a lot of suction there. There's some of the holes. There's the other holes around the outside. And here is a very noisy cat. Yeah, you're gonna be quiet now? No? Why? On this side, you can see how the 4-inch PVC comes around the corner here. And then in order to make the transition from PVC to the flexible tube, I had to put in, this is a broken blast gate that I had. So it had the right size ID for both the flexible and the PVC. And then there goes the flexible up there to the actual blast gate. So now you may ask, why didn't I just hook that flexible right up to here? That's a good question. This is when it's a good idea to bounce your ideas off of somebody else before you go too far. That would have probably been a lot simpler and would have been just as smooth a duct to move dust. But that's the way I have it, so I'm sure not going to change it. While I can access the speed control on this router, I can't see what the RPMs are. So I typed up this little chart here to show me what the RPMs are, and you know, I'll be able to tell the difference between the high end and the low end, even though I can't see it from here. But I'll be able to dial that in now. So I'm just going to put this right on the inside of the door here so that I always have it handy when I'm changing the router speeds. I can see what speeds I have available to me. So that is going to go right there. The last thing I have to install is this nice little sticker that Jessom sent along with their router lift. And I am very pleased with that, so I don't mind giving them a little bit of free advertising. And I thought that might look kind of neat right here on my little door. So I'm going to stick that on here. Kind of give it a name brand look, even though this was shop made. There we go. There we go. I'm sure Jessom would appreciate that, even though it's not a Jessom box, but that looks kind of neat there. All right, let's do some testing on this thing. Okay, I'm ready to make my first cuts with the router and my dust collection box underneath and the dust collection at the fence here. I've got both blast gates open, so I'm pulling vacuum from above the table and below, and I've done a reasonable job of cleaning up the shop right now. I've swept and blown everything off with compressed air. So things are pretty clean. So we're gonna see how much of this dust gets missed and ends up on the floor or on the table. And I'm trying to lower my expectations. I've done everything I can so far to have good dust collection. But let's see, you'll get an honest test of what it misses and what it does pick up. So let's look at this. I'm going to start the dust collection first. Everything is ready. There's a decent amount of suction right here. I can't hardly believe that. But in this application anyway, I don't see any dust. It all got sucked up. This is incredible. And I could have brought this fence in closer too, or maybe that's a good amount of suction. Let's look inside the box and see if anything's left behind there. Well, I don't know how much actually came this way, but boy. I don't know if, was that here before? Might not have been. But, oh my gosh. Man, I probably need to do a big job to really get a good feel for if it's actually working as well as I think it is. But boy, just right offhand, I mean, just with this one cut, maybe that's a super easy one to get dust collection off of, but holy smokes, man, that is nice. I did not expect it to be like this. And I don't know, I guess if I was just using the bearing, I would keep the fence somewhat close and then I would still get the dust collection from above. But wow, let's do this. I'm going to pull this collar out of here and we'll turn the dust collector on, we'll move the fence away, and then I'm gonna put a piece of plastic over the doorway here and we'll somehow get some light in there and we'll see what the dust does when it comes down the chute. I like the idea of testing this, but if I'm gonna be throwing dust down here, I'm not too thrilled about the idea of throwing a bunch of dust down my router motor, so I made this little plastic cover here. I think this will cover up pretty good like that. I'll throw a little bit of tape down there too, just so I don't get a bunch of dust right into my router. I don't know if we're really gonna be able to see much. This plastic is so cloudy. So I'll try throwing a lot of sawdust down the port. We'll see how it goes. I don't know how scientific this is really gonna be, but here's the dust that I just pulled this out of the dust collector, so in theory it's all just gonna end up right back in the dust collector. And I'm leaving this collar off here because I have to be able to get the dust down in there. The other thing is I'm gonna leave the fence dust port open so that we get a little more of a scientific test here on what the port below can actually be pulling. And hopefully we see that cyclone effect that I'm hoping that those holes are going to provide. Well, there is some left behind. I think my light interfered with the hole down in that corner, because that corner is clear, but oh, there's some on the shelf here. So it apparently doesn't evacuate all of it, but I do think I saw a left to right movement in the dust coming through there. So I think there was at least a little bit of that cyclone effect happening. And of course that light kind of interfered with things. But I think this one side is a little too flat. Dust isn't just sliding off. Here's what I mean, this side. This side is plenty steep. But this side's maybe a little bit too flat. Might have been better if I'd have gone 45 on both sides. That's the way it is. So I'm going to shoot the compressed air down there while the dust collector's running and clean that thing out. So that was the test on this box here. Let me just pull this off. Sorry about this plastic being so scratched up, but that's still not a bad test. I'm going to turn the dust collector on again. Well, that is it for dust collection for my router table. And that ends my 3-part series on the router. So if you haven't seen the other two, first I did the router insert, or maybe I did the fence first. I don't know. I did the router insert and then I did the fence, and now I did the box and the dust collection up here above the table too. I got to say I'm real happy with this. I do wish I'd have turned this 90 degrees before I installed it, but it's going to stay where it is and not doing that again. I'm incredibly impressed. I cannot believe how well this dust collection in the fence up here actually pulled all the dust away. I mean, all of the dust. I mean, that's just one application where I was just doing a round over. I think that was about a 1/2-inch round over bit, but this thing, I mean, going from the 4-inch down to the 2.5-inch didn't seem to affect it very much. I mean, it really just pulled. I have a little cable management to still work out here, so that'll take me a little bit of time. Also, I disconnected that diagonal piece of angle iron on the table saw, and I'm just going to lower that down and make it so that it just goes around the box there, and I got to drill another hole and then shorten the thing up a little bit. So there's a few little odds and ends left to do on this, but nothing too big. I think I got the main gist of the thing put together. So thanks for watching. And if you got an idea out of this that you didn't have before, maybe hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you. Good.